Hello, everybody. This is Violet Lang, and I am here to talk with you tonight about inviting versus forcing, about calling something towards you or about transmitting something and projecting it out. And 9 out of 10 women that I speak to, they don't quite totally grasp this because it feels very counterintuitive to the culture that we live in, and to, especially if you're a business owner or in sales or almost any field or walk of life, you've probably been living your life more from like a transmission or a projection versus an invitation. And why does this matter? Well, the reason this matters is because most of the relationships thrive on understanding what sort of invitation it is that you're putting out there. Now, I do not mean an invitation to be harmed or manipulated or abused or any of that. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the underlying principle about attracting someone really stellar into your life. So a lot of times we might have a limiting belief around the type of partner we can attract, or we might feel like if we need to have love, if we want to have love, the only way for it to happen is if we go after it. And then this can feel kind of annoying because it's like, well, if I need to have love, if I want to have love, and I have to go for it, but then how can people tell me that I'm intimidating or that I come across as, too independent? And what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I want to be a boss babe. I want to be in control of my life. And for a good reason. Like, I'm not saying that any woman should ever give up on her sense of self, her autonomy, or her ability to create what she wants in her life. But if you think about it, think about the way that you want to be interacted with by a man. Or a woman, if you're a woman seeking a woman. Like, most of the women that I talk to, they want to be pursued. They want to feel beautiful. They want to know that he's coming towards them. They want to know that he desires them. They want to know that he cares and is thoughtful and is checking in during their day. And the way that that happens is creating a magnetism, an invitation, a pull back towards yourself. And so if you think about like a woman who's sitting in a bar, I'll just use that classic example, most likely she's not working the room. She's not, seeing a guy walk in and then get up and, storming towards him and trying to say something to him or catch his eye. She's creating a field. She's creating an energy. She's attracting and inviting him to have conversation with her. This doesn't mean that you have to be the damsel in distress. It doesn't mean that you need to just passively wait. But a lot of times women underestimate the superpower that they have, which is that radiance and that magnetism and that invitation to have an adventure, to have a connection that feels deeper, that has spark, that has chemistry. So if you're used to going after what you want and being more, assertive or aggressive, more power to you. Like, I think that's such an important skill and we all need to have that. But I encourage you to think about what sort of invitation are you putting out there. So back to that example of a woman sitting at a bar. There's an example of a woman sitting at a bar, checking her phone, shoulders hunched up, eating her food, maybe or maybe not talking to the bartender. That's one sort of invitation you could say. And then another invitation would be a woman who has ordered a delicious meal, maybe is having a glass of wine or enjoying a cocktail, who's taking in her surroundings and finding the pleasure in her body and moving or sighing, or it doesn't have to be this dramatic, looking across the room or even just touching her face or her neck. Like, that sort of energy is going to send a very different invitation than I've got to get things done, I've got to be productive, I've got to, make everything happen, or I've got to seal the deal. That energy, or projecting energy, will be less useful if you're wanting to create a romantic partnership with a lot of chemistry than the sort of energy that is drawing someone towards you. I need to plug in my phone because my battery is about to die. So give me 1 second. Now, you might also feel confused because on these Facebook Lives and in a lot of my teaching, I'm actually embodying a fair amount of masculine energy. I'm saying things, I'm projecting things, I'm bringing concepts across, I'm teaching, I'm embodying a lot of masculine energy that's projecting and transmitting a certain teaching. But what you don't maybe see behind the scenes, or that some of my clients see, is a sense of deep relaxation and softness and connection to my body and my skin and the energy of my womb and my lower body and the curve of my neck or my chest. And even this I'm kind of going through fast. I would take more time to breathe or connect or just drop into the sensuality of being a woman. So even just that little example of me like talking at you versus me slowing down and connecting to my body and stretching out. Like you can feel those two different energies, and you can feel how one of them is more captivating. To me, the invitation seems more captivating, and it is more captivating typically to the masculine, because there's a sense of exquisite pleasure and self-trust and enjoying the moment that says, I don't need anything. I'm feeling really good over here. And it's that sense of not needing anything, of feeling really good, that calls forth the desire for the man to serve. But it also includes an openness to be seen in your heart, to be seen in your pleasure, to be seen in your satisfaction of the moment without feeling like you need to be on your phone or making something happen. Now, I will tell you, this is very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable to sit at a bar or a restaurant and not touch your phone for the entire time and be by yourself. It's, oops, I just realized my angle is totally off. It can feel vulnerable to put yourself out there. Just like it can feel vulnerable to do an online dating profile that's way more, authentic to who you are. That's way more, I don't want to say stripped down, way more detailed, way more open, way more vulnerable. I have clients who, when I write their online profile for them, they say, oh my God, I'm terrified just reading this. I don't know if I could put this online. And they do, and they immediately start attracting higher quality men and better prospects for them. One, because they've done the internal work, the work that we do together to stay connected to their feminine essence, their vulnerability, to integrate their heart and their body, to stay connected to their sensuality, and to understand kind of the rules of the road of dating. So they've got that all going on the inside, but then they're also allowing themselves to be seen for who they are. And that's part of invitation. An invitation is just inviting someone to get to know you a little bit better, which might just be a glance. It might be someone liking your profile. It might be someone actually asking you out on a date. And if you think, well, the masculine should be the one that's inviting out, the feminine oftentimes creates the energy that draws the masculine to want to pursue or claim in a healthy way, or ask out, or to create more of a connection with. So I would be curious the invitation that you are sending to the world, sending to a potential partner, but in general transmitting, and giving yourself the permission to play with this. So it doesn't have to be the same invitation all the time. I'm going to use celebrity examples because they're just easier sometimes to work with because we all know them. But if you think about the invitation that, let's say, Natalie Portman sends versus the invitation that Cardi B sends, or that Beyonce sends, or that, Elizabeth Warren sends, or Michelle Obama, like those are very different invitations from the feminine and very different ways of being in the world. And as a woman, you get access to all that energy anytime, anywhere, any way that you want. There's no right way to be in your feminine. There's no right way to express yourself. And most of us have been coloring inside of this little box and, painting inside this little canvas when we have 99 other flavors and colors and textures and tastes to explore with. So not only is this about an invitation from the masculine to come towards you, but it's also an invitation for you into your wildest, most profound, most fun, most present, most embodied, and most luscious self, which includes, sadness, which includes despair, which includes anger and fire and heat. Like, it's all fair game. And actually, one of the reasons the masculine continues to be drawn to the feminine is because of its ability to change. So, for example, we're talking about this example tonight of sitting at the bar or sitting at a restaurant, and the difference between being on your phone or feeling like you've got to, go flirt with everyone in the room or make something happen. The difference between that and just like enjoying your meal or staying connected to your body or staying connected to your sense of pleasure, making conversations when it feels good, but not feeling like you have to go out and get something, or following your fancy, and maybe it takes you to the dance floor, or maybe it takes you to, go order a drink from a different side of the bar and start chatting with someone a little bit. But the invitation that you send can change. For me, it changes all the time. It changes so fast. It's like, if I remember when I was single and I would go out sometimes by myself, I might start feeling a little bit shy, a little bit closed off, a little bit self-conscious. And then I would start to enjoy my meal, and I would start to blossom and open and feel the joy of being alive and the ecstasy of the flavors of the dish. And that would give me the courage and give me the juice to then want to share that with others, to then, ask someone next to me, like, oh my God, have you tried, whatever it is? Like, it's so good. What are you ordering? And just strike up a conversation with the person next to me or the bartender. And then maybe I'm feeling a little bit more playful and I want to go dance for a little bit. And yes, it can feel scary to do these things on your own, but what a beautiful journey and what a beautiful way to get to know yourself and to share your light with the world. So when you focus on yourself and on your pleasure and on feeling good in the moment, and then use that as the mechanism to share the overflow, then it's no longer about your agenda of, I need to meet someone tonight, or where is my husband, or did I wear the right thing? Like, we can get really caught up in some of these details that really are way less important than the sort of invitation that we're sending and our ability to navigate the change of energy in that invitation, because like I was sharing, the energy can change like very, very quickly. And that's part of the fun and that's part of the dance. So if you find that you're attracting partners who are not really seeing you, who aren't seeing the fullness of the range, or who think that you're just a boss babe and you've got it all together, I invite you to think about the different invitations that you're sending. Is your energy totally closed off, like, I've got it handled, I don't need a man? Or is there something more tender that's just longing to come to the surface? Part of the work that I do with clients is to help them connect with their desire, not just sexually, although that can be part of it too, but beyond their desire, their wants, is like their aches. What are they aching for? What are they longing for? Maybe it's to be held by a strong man. Maybe it's to create something just for the pleasure of creating it without feeling like it has to be done for someone else or something else. Maybe it's the longing to be really seen and to be cherished and to be nourished and to have, acceptance and approval and attention and someone to check in on you, especially if you're more of a caretaker and you tend to check in on others all the time. So there's so many longings of our heart and of our body, and the longing is what can create a beautiful invitation when we're vulnerable enough and courageous enough to be able to hold space for the longing and let it be seen, let it be shown. Now, I was talking earlier about the masculine being a transmission. Of course, the feminine is a powerful transmission as well. We're speaking volumes with our energy, the way that we move, the way that we talk, the way that we focus our attention on certain things. But in general, the masculine is about penetration, is about claiming something, is about sending a signal and moving something through direction. Whereas the feminine is typically about receiving, about inviting in, about this blend of mystery and being seen and the different facets, kind of like a kaleidoscope. So we all have the masculine, we all have the feminine within us, but there's so much room for play and so many opportunities to play with the sort of partner that we're attracting. And you probably think that that's a pattern that's set in stone, like, well, I have a type. Maybe not physically, but maybe the emotionally unavailable guy, or maybe the guy who actually is unavailable, or maybe the guy who you feel like you're kind of settling for but is a little bit safe. So the more that you feel comfortable sending different invitations of being in your feminine energy and letting it change and holding space for it changing, and the more comfortable you are being seen and being vulnerable as you connect to the longings of the heart, the more you're going to notice that more evolved men will show up in your life. Men who can hold space for your range of emotions. Men who want a woman who's sending a signal, who has an invitation, who has something to say with her life without actually having to use the words. And again, sometimes it's helpful to just think of like celebrities or things like that. There are really powerful women all over who aren't necessarily loud and bold and boisterous, although I love that fiery energy too. You can also send an invitation just by the way that you're moving, or that you're holding yourself, or that you're allowing yourself to be seen, or the way that you adorn yourself. There are so many magical ways to play with this. So I hope this has been an interesting exploration for you. I know it is for me, selfishly. I love this. I feel like there's a million different ways that we can riff on this, and it's not always something you can I about said transmit, and then I'm like, oh, that sounds very masculine. But it's true. I mean, when I'm teaching, I am much more in my masculine energy. But all just to say that the feminine essence that we're talking about is not something that you can just learn, on a blog or even on a short video like this. This is something that you have to sink in and experience in a place that feels safe, like around a group of other women, or experience in a way that you can slowly sort of titrate or slowly build up your muscle, your muscle of being seen, your muscle of being vulnerable, your muscle of watching and noticing how the energy plays within your body. So that's one of my favorite things to teach women. I mean, I have women that have never been asked out in real life, and within 3 weeks of working with me have had 2 people ask them out in real life, you know, at a coffee shop or at the grocery store or at the gas station or at their son's school when they were dropping him off or at a soccer game or like so many places. And so if you're feeling like no one really sees me, I never get asked out in person, I'm not sure what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, think about the invitations that you're sending and reach out for some help. You know, this is something that I love to do for women. And so we offer free Breakthrough to Love sessions where you're going to get total clarity on the messages that you might be sending, seeing if they're congruent, maybe there's some mixed messages, or maybe this is just a skill or a tool that you never learned because most of our parents did not teach us this. That too, healthy relationship, healthy partnership, understanding the masculine and feminine, and then also understanding how to transcend the masculine and feminine when it feels like that polarity isn't serving the moment. You know, it's all about the skill and the artistry with which we can use these energies for ourselves and for our fullest expression and bringing our light and our life into the world. So if that's interesting to you, book a call with us. It's violetlang.com/talk. You'll get clarity not only on what's been holding you back or those mixed messages that you might be sending, but also on what you want, what's going to light you up, what are those desires, and then like I was speaking about earlier, what are the longings? Like, what is the ache on your heart that's just yearning to be seen and held and expressed and loved into existence? And that really lights me up. I can just like feel the energy running up the back of my spine and into my heart and out through my arms. Like seeing a woman being able to hold space in her desires and call in a man who can hold space for her desires and her longings and help transform those longings not only into being seen, but being into yearned into existence, longed into existence, held into existence, and transmuted into existence. So anyway, I'll stop going on and on. I'm just in my feminine now. But I look forward to connecting with all of you and with having a lot of yummy, juicy Facebook Lives this month. Our theme this month is romance, real life romance. And so we just had a really delicious Facebook Live interview with Christine Malsbury, one of my clients, and that was in our Free Your Feminine Facebook group. So if you're not part of that group, Free Your Feminine, you can find it just on this page to see the groups that are linked, or I will also put a link in the comments, and we will have more delicious and yummy things to explore the rest of this month. So enjoy playing around with the invitations that you're sending, and I look forward to connecting with you. Mwah. Bye.